I'm not going crazy. While I was over in my reading chair, updating my reading journal, I noticed out the corner of my eye some movement that just seemed out of place. There it is. Look at that big old hand. And what was he dripping into that coffee? Was that like the hand of Jesus? Because it's too big for that cup. It's too big for this whole thing. That's the stuff you notice when you're trying to focus. I wanted to share ideas on books to read when you need a win. So, like when your TBR is super full and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. That's happened to me a few times, and what I've done is gone to my bookshelves and looked for small books. So we have Madeline Miller, Galatea. It's a short story, but it is so good. So I'm going to read the back. In ancient Greece, the marble sculpture of a beautiful woman, Galatea, is given the blessing of life. Key point. She's a sculpture given life by her sculptor. Her sculptor marries her and they have a daughter together. But the sculptor is controlling and jealous man who does not want Galatea to know the world. In a desperate bid for control, he locks Galatea away and keeps her under constant supervision of doctors and nurses. Galatea, however, yearns for independence. She has a daughter to rescue and is determined to break free, whatever the cost. This is good. Yes, I was clutching my pearls because you have to remember she's made of stone. And he tries to she's a trophy wife, but literally a sculpture. And he doesn't want her to know anything about the real world, have any interactions with anyone else. But it wasn't always like that. Like, she got to experience being alive in the fields and things of that nature. But his jealousy, in the end, his jealousy ended him. Yeah. Let's think mob and how they will tie a weight around the body of a person that they are drowning. Think of it like that. It was good. And then I read Jesmyn Ward, Navigate Your Stars. I read this on 4th of July morning before I went on a staycation. I went to the Lavender Farm. I drove down to a nearby town, stayed in a bookish hotel, did bookish things. I need to work on that video and publish it. But until I do that, let me read what this is about. So this is essentially Jesmyn Ward's commencement speech that she gave at Tulane University. But what makes this such a beautiful read is the art that accompanies her words. Because she's telling the story of her family and how, they were basically hard workers. Nobody had time for education, but that was going to be different for her. And the trials and tribulations as a family, but also that she went through trying to make a change and trying to apply her education, and things that happened that ended up forcing her back into her hometown. And then how she found writing, because that was something that was always a part of her, and actually, apply some stick-to-itiveness and change the trajectory of her life. I'm sure this commencement speech is online somewhere, but the way that this book was created, it's beautiful. The art in here perfectly captures what she's saying and what she's getting at. So starting my 4th of July weekend off with such a beautiful work as this. It was a great start to a really actually great weekend. So this is another read for when you need a win. Not everything on your TBR should be taking you forever to make it through it. When it's like that, it makes it hard to maintain momentum with your reading practice. So I think these books also break you out of a reading slump. Lastly, in the book that I read today is Toni Morrison's The Dancing Mind. This book is 17 pages, but it's only 11 pages of text. And it didn't need to be more than that at all. As you can see, I captured some passages that really will stay with me. I will reread this. I actually read it twice tonight. I do want to share a passage out of here with you. There is a certain kind of peace that is not merely the absence of war. It is larger than that. The peace I am thinking of is not at the mercy of history's rule, nor is it a passive surrender to the status quo. The peace I am thinking of is the dance of an open mind when it engages another equally open one, an activity that occurs most naturally, most often in the reading and writing world we live in. Accessible as it is, this particular kind of peace warrants vigilance. The peril it faces comes not from the computers and information highways that raise alarm among book readers, but from unrecognized, more sinister quarters. She goes on to tell the story of two different individuals and their perception on reading, but also what reading and writing has done in their lives. One story is about a reader who is academically superior to most. However, one thing he came to realize in a life of academic excellence and athletic excellence, all the clubs, all the things, is that when it came down to him working on his PhD, he realized and recognized that he had never spent time reading for the sake of reading, something that wasn't part of his reading list or part of a program that he was in. And that was something that he learned and taught himself to enjoy at a later point in life. And that was one point that she was making on readers and you know, the time of life that we have that we don't spend developing that skill. The other story that she relays is that of a writer that she met at a symposium in Strasbourg, Germany. I want to say it was Strasbourg, Germany. The symposium was called the Parliament of Writers, which is an organization of writers who work aggressively toward the rescue of writers who are under persecution. One thing that we don't recognize the way that we should is that in other countries, writers are put in prison, jailed, or can be killed because of their use of their voice in their writings for the betterment of others and or for the criticism of the government that they are under. But in this particular story that she's relaying, one of the writers who, as she states, her education was superior to all of theirs, she was able to vacillate between different literatures, countries' histories, languages with ease, and articulate her thoughts on these things superbly. But then she pulled Toni Morrison to the side and she basically said, you know, as she began to cry, holding Toni's gaze, and she looked at her and she said, You have to help us. You have to help us. They are shooting us down in the street. By us, she meant women who wrote against the grain. What can I do? I asked her. She said, I don't know, but you have to try. There isn't anybody else. What a weight. What a what a request to make of someone. But what she saw in Toni versus what Toni saw in herself was completely different. She saw someone who had the ability to relay words in such a way that it would change the minds and hearts of people. And she was asking her to use that gift for their freedom, for her freedom. So, yeah, 11 pages. 11 pages. So, I just wanted to share that with you all, just as a reminder that to make your way through your TBR and to get lessons, good, strong lessons from books. They don't have to be a big tome. Look at these. Look at these books. The biggest one is Galatea. I think it's 37 pages. These are not big. 2 are essays, 1 is a short story. But what you take away from these, that's the key. That's the point. All right? So whenever you are looking for a win in your reading journey, look no further than a short story or an essay by someone that you respect. All right? All right, guys. Remember, drop everything and read as much as you possibly can. Stay safe.